Welcome, friends. This is Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric, and today we're going to recap Mizzou's heartbreaking loss at Boston College. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook and Instagram. So Mizzou, 41-34, real hard-fought, heartbreaking loss. And, it wasn't a big surprise the way things went. For anybody that's not a Mizzou fan, that was a really entertaining game to watch. And it was entertaining for Mizzou fans. The outcome was painful. So, taking a look at the way the thing played out. The Missouri run defense struggled. The Missouri passing game was strong. And Mizzou needed more than 30 to win. They needed more than 40 to win, really, if you count the overtime. But not a whole lot was surprising. I know a lot of people were picking scores in the low to mid 30s for both teams. At the end of regulation, it was 34 apiece. I picked 34-31 as a final score. David picked 38-35. After 4 quarters, the two of us were a combined 8 points off. So, I'm tooting our own horn here, but I think a lot of people knew exactly how this game was going to play out, and we were right, at least this time. One thing that was a little bit surprising was Mookie Cooper's reaction after the game. He posted on social media about how he wants to play wide receiver, kind of venting on combination of lack of playing time and the fact that when he's out there, a lot of times it's jet sweep type stuff and just not as much activity as he'd like. He had 1 touch in Saturday's game. Well, you know what? The way to do that is to be effective in practice. Posting that on social media is not the way to get more playing time. That's a way to get, chewed out in the coach's office is what that is. So we'll see what comes of that. Anyway, looking at the offense for this game, Tyler Beatty was fairly contained. He did have 106 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he needed a lot of carries to get that. There were no monster plays. He had a really good catch on 3rd down conversion that was clutch, but there were no 30, 40-yard plays out of Beatty. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for going forward, is if they can get him back to being a focal point of the offense. The wide receivers, I got no complaints. I really don't. I thought the wide receivers played well. That is in spite of Connor Bazelak and the deep ball. It's the same story. Short, intermediate passes, he's great. He doesn't throw many stupid passes, but the deep ball, it's a problem. Both of his interceptions were balls more than 20 yards down the field. And that, it has to improve. It just has to. The offense just isn't good enough to go without the deep ball. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a second here. As far as the offensive line, I thought they were outstanding in pass protection. I think they may have missed Case Cook at right guard. He did not play, wasn't dressed out. I'll give him a little bit of a pass on that, but the run blocking needs to be better than it was on Saturday. Now looking at the defense, speaking of things that need to be better, there really was no surprise. The run defense got torched. They gave up more than 270 yards running the football. And it's pretty simple. The front 6 is just getting blown off the ball. That in particular, the defensive tackles. The defensive tackles are ending up next to the linebackers half the time. And running backs just have wide open lanes to just go wherever they want. And it's a problem, obviously. Defensive coordinator Steve Wilks is getting some heat for the performance, but I don't think it's as deserved as some people would say. He's making adjustments. Later in the game, the linebackers were constantly run blitzing. And, the run defense got a little better. It was not good, but I think it was better in the second half. That was at the expense of Dennis Grosel being able to hit wide receivers in the passing game, with the corners kind of left on an island with more run blitzing. Secondary is kind of on its own, and that got exposed a little bit. And that's just something that the coaching staff is going to have to decide if they're willing to live with that or not. Taking a look at just the big picture coming out of this game. Special teams, I think, is the strongest point of Missouri's game. Grant McGinnis, outstanding punting. Harrison Mevis, 56-yarder to force overtime. That's nuts. I mean, you can't ask for anything more out of your kickers. The return game, kick returns, there's not that many opportunities. Chris Abrams' drain has been steady. Hasn't busted any for huge returns yet, really. And then punt returns is kind of an incomplete. Boston College punted once. The defense has to get stops for the punt return team to actually play. So that one's hard to judge. But the special teams do play outstanding. As far as the run defense and fixing it, well, there's not anything you can do, I don't think, this season that is going to magically take this group of players and make them a good run defense or even average run defense. They are just not talented enough. You can scheme around it. Maybe picking and choosing your run blitzes depending on if you can pick up tendencies of the other team or something like that. But it's just going to have to be a lot more run blitzing and just hanging on for dear life with the run defense, because the guys to fix it are not on the roster, with a possible exception of Mekhi Wingo. We'll see as the season goes on if how he progresses in his freshman year. But he could be a guy down the road in particular. And the deep ball. Connor Bazelak, if it's a shot down the field, I do not have confidence in him to throw it accurately. If it's 20 yards or more down the field, I just don't have confidence that it's going to happen. You look at the offense without this deep ball. You're counting on running for presumably 4, 5, 6 yards of play and short passes. What that means is you are telling your offense you are going to have to put together long, sustained drives. So instead of an explosive play that takes up 40 yards and that means you only have to do 7 or 8 plays to get down the field, you're talking 4 or 5 plays more where the offense has to be effective. And it's just more opportunities for a mistake that can kill a drive. So the deep ball's doing that, and defenses aren't going to respect Connor Bazelak with the deep ball. So there's the secondaries, particular safeties, will sag down more in run help because they know Bazelak's probably going to overthrow it or just miss in general. All these issues with the team lead me to think that this team's absolute ceiling right now is 7-5. The only teams I feel confident about Mizzou beating the rest of the season are Vanderbilt and North Texas. And that would put you at 4. That means Missouri is going to have to beat Tennessee, South Carolina. Those are the 2 most likely other wins. They definitely can beat them, absolutely. But those are almost must wins. And even, honestly, at that point, you're still looking at having to beat a Texas A&M or an Arkansas, probably, to get just a 7. 6-6 is probably what's going to end up happening. If the team loses to Tennessee, all bets are off. I hate to be kind of pessimistic to end this video, but that's the reality. Is this team is limited, and the rebuilding process may take another another season to get where a lot of people want to see it. That's all I've got for this video. Thanks for checking us out. Hope to see you next time.